Guys, welcome back.
Hi, guys.
There's news about Riot's upcoming MMO. It's good news. It's bad news.
It's good and bad.
It's good and bad.
I'm scared.
Guys, we're watching Necrit today. He kind of pieced this together. He saw some clips of, who is it? Marc Merril, I believe, was streaming, and he mentioned some things and kind of gave us a bit of a window. It's not official news, but it's the best we've got.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
You didn't think we would be talking about this topic. You didn't think there was an update on it. You probably forgot about Riot's MMO. But fear not, we do have an update on what is going on with the project. And believe it or not, technically we did get a release window. More importantly, we might be alive to see it. So let's dive into all of this.
Please.
Even though we haven't talked about the MMO for a while, we've been getting steady news the entire time, at least not directly. During Worlds, Cadril got a couple of words with Marc Merril about the MMO, where he confirmed that after the reset, the MMO team has a great direction and good momentum, meaning the team is making good progress. But for a while, that was about it. It took us all the way to February until we got the next breadcrumbs. There we got 2 job listings, one for staff service engineer and one for staff tools engineer.
We looked at these and what they kind of do, and like all the things that these job positions would like require, and we kind of like went through it and speculated at what stage they're at. It's a super early stage. Both of these positions are literally like so far on the back end that I highly doubt that they've started with things in Unreal Engine at this stage, or whatever engine they're going to end up running it on. Probably Unreal, because again it shows Unreal tools, but Unreal Engine used to be a terrible place to do multiplayer things on, and it has gotten so much better. So hopefully they're able to do it on the Unreal Engine. They actually run Valorant on Unreal Engine.
Yep.
Yeah,
you told me that. I remember that.
and I think they just upgraded to Unreal Engine 5 for that.
Oh, nice.
And unfortunately, neither of those positions tells us much. It should be mostly positions that make the devs' lives easier. It's essentially creating tools that help the other devs make the game, so it's not really specific. After which there was another big break, but in the middle of all—
See, again, not specific, but those tools that help the devs make the game, there's nothing to play yet. Like, there's not a world built, like, there's nothing yet, if
Literally
that's the
nothing.
stage that they're at.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Well, didn't they scrap it? Or
My PC froze. We'll be right back. Got the PC unfrozen. Let's keep it going.
middle of all of this, there was something special that happened. There was one big event that started a chain of smaller interesting events. And that's the fact that there was this one totally random guy who continued a project from before. And so OnlyFangs 2 was born.
Yes, but next time there's an OnlyFangs, we're joining.
OnlyFangs was a hardcore WoW guild that was put together by SodaPop.
And you're gonna dye your hair pink like that, right?
The reason why this was special is because it was made for streamers. And for about 3 or 4 months, it took over the streaming category on Twitch. And yes, I was part of it. I was literally leveling my character as Arcane was launching in my hotel room. In fact, about 2 weeks ago, I had a talk with Tyler about something that happened in the guild, which I was involved in. Anyway, the reason why OnlyFangs is important to us is because the Riot MMO devs quickly became interested in it as well. And that is for one simple reason. We know as a fact that the Riot MMO devs keep in touch with all the hype that is happening around all the different MMO games. Back when Classic WoW launched, a lot of the MMO devs leveled up their characters and they started actively raiding. Then, when Hardcore was first kicked off as a fan add-on, again we saw a number of tweets from the MMO devs posting their characters making it to 60, and after WoW released its official Hardcore server, once again the Riot MMO devs hopped on board and they leveled up their characters together with the rest of the community. And on top of all of that,
I remember this.
Marc Merril was invited to play in OnlyFangs.
Okay, before we keep going, World of Warcraft is a great MMO to draw inspiration from. But Throne and Liberty had this, and I really hope that they don't go this route. There's no collision, so the world doesn't feel real. Like, collision in combat, to me, is so important. I do not want another MMO where we target something, and then whatever spell we're doing happens on that thing. I want to physically and have the game balanced around me having to position myself or move to a spot to make something happen. Even as a healer, I think it would be so much more interesting if I could do a chant and everybody close to me got that heal, and if somebody else needs it, I've got to go over there to do it. You know what I mean? Like, if I need to cast Lay on Hands as a paladin, I should have to walk over and put both of my hands on that person on my team to full heal them.
Yeah.
Like, even if the pace of combat is a little slower, I think that would be so much more fun than targeting somebody 30 meters away by clicking their name from a list and then clicking the ability. So, Unreal Engine has that capability to do something like that, where interactions feel more physical, and I just hope we get that MMO. All right, we can keep going.
On the outside, this was simply a cool moment. It was cool to see the co-founder of Riot being on board for some fun. But this is also where an interesting chain of events dripped through. Because in order to play in OnlyFans, you had to stream your leveling experience. This was partially because it was a content guild, but partially it also helped preventing you from cheating, since your viewers could hypothetically help you. Which means that Marc Merril also streamed, and finally, to pay off this big setup, of course, occasionally he also gave us his thoughts on Riot's MMO. And on one faithful day, he did give us the potential release window.
Oh,
now, because
gosh.
Twitch is Twitch and keeping VODs up is challenging there, I wasn't able to find the original clip, but thankfully the channel Oh Hey Spun got the short of Tryndamere talking about this topic.
Will you finish the Riot MMO before 2030? Sure hope so. Although launch is the start, not the end. So, finish.
That's right!
2030?
I know.
Over 5 years?
It's but at the start of 2030, maybe we'll get in the beta in 2029.
I'm gonna be like 33, 34. Seth, you're gonna...
We might have kids by then.
Right? I'm 28 now. Oh, God.
Oh, absolutely not. Forget it. Yeah, dude. Oh, my God.
Could be sooner.
It could be sooner.
It could be, but
again, this
it didn't
isn't
sound like it would be
guaranteed.
sooner.
That could have been a joke, but that's all we have. Now, there is more, so we'll keep watching.
I'll be 30 then. Pass. Yeah.
I'm 30 now. What do you mean, pass?
You're going to be 35,
Ladies and
36.
gentlemen,
Here we go.
For the first time since
33.
its announcement, which wasn't really a proper announcement, I don't think we are supposed to know that the MMO is even in works, we got an official, unofficial release window, where the co-founder of Riot Games feels very strong about the MMO releasing before 2030.
But he went finish.
In other words, that is before the end of this decade. So yes, we will be older, but it should be in our lifetimes. Congratulations, everyone. The cool thing is that this is not the only piece of news that we have. There are other things that are still constantly happening around the MMO. You see, after the entire classic WoW saga happened, where the MMO devs got a fresh breeze of the community's actions, there was also a swirl of the MMO and the MOBA players. Because obviously, Tyler 1 became a really influential member of OnlyFans, which is someone outside of the normal WoW community.
I just thought of this as well. AI is exponentially speeding things up. So I think when he spoke on this, it wasn't as big in the video gaming space, like development, but it is getting more prominent, and more companies are using it. There are good ways to use AI where it's not like it's creating and doing everything for you, but more of like procedurally generating things,
Fixing line of code, like
that's
stuff
not
like
exactly,
that.
but yeah, like doing that stuff on the back end. the way this is being built, the code isn't as important. But what is important is that the spaces and areas are able to be created in the way that you see it in your mind when you think of Ionia, Bilgewater, everything we just saw in Arcane, like those 3D models. If you can give those pieces of art to AI and they can go in and three-dimensionally make it, then we might have something way sooner. When can I have Irelia as my in-game AI wife? Okay, yeah, that too. I hope that they do some AI where NPCs are more interactable than just a few lines and it always railroads you to the same place. Hopefully, we'll get some more dynamic stuff for that. But yeah, I'm hoping that it might be sooner than 2030. We'll see.
In fact, he was responsible for making a lot of League players interested in WoW, which of course has a lot of value to Riot. Because through Sodapoppin and Tyler, Riot got a lot more of their audience get their foot into the MMO genre. But what's even more interesting is that after OnlyFans was over, the opposite happened as well. And now, some of these WoW players started playing League for the first time.
I'm watching so many of them play, it's so funny.
Are Pika, Zyru, or Savix. This is something Riot wanted to achieve for a long time. And they are able to pull this off because they are paying attention to
Iron to gold in one week. Love to see it.
I've been watching Zaryu. He just fell from bronze to iron.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. That's an expensive account.
It's not looking good.
At least now they are. So with stuff like Brawl, which is a great new player experience, also the slightly simplified champion acquisition, as well as
this is what I played, right?
WASD
no, this is a new thing that just came out. You should try it. It's for new players.
Riot is making great progress. And so while there may be people who think that League is dying, the truth is that it seems to be getting more and more new players. With the catch being, they come from outside of your classic League bubble. So most people may not even know that this is happening. Anyway, after this great merging of the MMO and the MOBA players, which happened through something that was outside of Riot's control, we get another piece of news that hints what the Riot MMO is doing now. And that's because, that's right, there was another MMO job listing. In fact, there were 3 totally separate ones. First of all, one of these openings is the same one we got back in February. The staff software engineer is still up. Essentially, they are the backbone of the MMO software.
Did the other guy quit? What do you mean it's still up? Did they never hire anybody?
They're waiting for you to apply.
2031.
It is all about technical performance as well as making stuff in C or C++, which makes sense since it is pretty much confirmed that the MMO is in Unreal Engine. I mean, it even states here that you need experience with making multiplayer games in Unreal Engine. Which is funny because for the longest time, Unreal Engine was not great for multiplayer. Anyway, this job listing isn't really that important because most people will have no idea what this even is. The far more interesting one is the Principal 3D Environment Artist. That's right, we're talking about people who take concept art and turn it into 3D environment. And once again, as mentioned, it is all done in Unreal Engine 5. But what's interesting here are the responsibilities here. Riot is looking for someone to make 3D environment assets.
Okay, hold on. Create high-quality 3D environment assets, own the implementation and optimization of assets in Unreal Engine 5. So they want that person to create this stuff, or I guess they would have to get a team to help create it. Balancing visual fidelity, interpret and push concept designs to the next level, partner with tech, art, and engineering to build efficient pipeline tools and workflows to support scalable real-time content creation, help define and maintain. So this is cool, workflows that support scalable real-time content creation. So part of that is like the quests and things that you're going to do. So they want the environment to be able to work with that.
Yeah.
Help define and maintain material shader libraries, establish and raise craft bar for environment asset quality across multiple biomes and cultures. That's good news. Influence development techniques. that enable rapid content creation at scale. So they are trying to pick up the pace. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think a lot of these companies can do it way faster now than they've ever been able to do. And the issue with if it launches in 2030 is that by that time, gaming will have advanced another 5 years. So if they start now, everything that they've done now will be nearly obsolete. And so many MMOs run into this problem. They start at a point, and then by the time it's ready, everything that they were doing 2-3 years ago is like obsolete compared to what's on the market then.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
That's yikes.
So they really got to embrace all of the new things, and they've got to constantly do that throughout production, or it'll be the same Chrono Odyssey experience that a lot of people just had. The player will detach. So hopefully they pick up on that, and it looks like they're going for it. Navigate creative, ambiguous problem spaces through rapid iteration and artistic exploration. Collaborate with art director and creative leads. Support the team by mentoring other artists. Actively participate in the environment, craft community, and partner with product and delivery leads to ensure visibility into team velocity. Blah blah blah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Who
Just
also
real
knows
quick,
how
kind
to
of going
implement
off of what
these
you were
assets
saying
in
though, it is really nice to see that the dev team for this project is playing WoW and actually going through the experience, and they were playing hardcore, right? So
yeah,
they did content, like they joined OnlyFans, they did content with other creators, they involved themselves in the space, and I think that's really promising and that's really good.
If you follow the development for 14, they did the same thing after it failed. When the game failed, they hired basically like a new team. They got a new guy on the project, and they played World of Warcraft, and then they took the things that they liked from it and put it into the game, and they fixed the game.
Yeah, like I could go on and on about things that are issues with WoW, but WoW has still been like the number one MMO. For all these years.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy they're playing it.
Engine. They need to know how to optimize performance with draw calls and poly count and stuff like that. And they even call for deeper understanding of
poly count. That crashed all of Final Fantasy XIV for weeks.
PBRs and real-time lighting. I mean, Unreal Engine was always really good at real-time lights, but it's interesting that they are seemingly heavily leaning into PBRs. Now, PBRs are usually materials that are really good at mimicking real materials. That's because they are good at faking details and lighting and shading. But Riot did mention that
doesn't that look crazy?
Yeah.
Those are just like textures that you apply to surfaces in Unreal Engine. It's so cool. I've done a few things in Unreal Engine, and this is one of the coolest things that Unreal Engine can do, because you can take a surface and just change everything about it. Like the ground can look so real, and it'll look like there's mulch on it, but it's not mulch. It's just the texture of the ground being patterned and repeated in a way that doesn't visually repeat, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I remember you were kind of messing around with the grass textiles.
Yeah.
In our game that we're making. I remember you showing everybody that. Looked really
Their
insane.
game should have a unique style. So now I am interested to see how they are utilizing PBRs for stylized graphics. Next, they want someone who can put together different biomes, which makes sense. Runeterra has a lot of those. And finally, a good mention is that they also want to utilize PCGs. In other words, it is the procedural world generation. If you've seen any of Unreal's updates, you would know that Unreal is really good at generating worlds out of the assets that you feed it. Now don't worry, we are not talking about generative AI or anything like that. It's just that Unreal Engine can generate a world for you with your assets, which should work as the baseline for the artists to make the world. Although, as an interesting thought, PCGs could be used for dynamically generating world. So maybe you can have instances that are just different every time you enter them. Anyway,
I'm pretty sure Expedition 33 used that and then used a tool to just carve out the path that you walk, for the most part. Like, the world around you was so dense, but then the areas that you were supposed and allowed to traverse were so, like, flat and kind of plain and, like, strategically placed, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense.
Like, the developers generated the world, and then they carved that path for you to walk in each of those instances. And I know they had to use this tool because it's just so well done. But yeah, that saves so much time. However, in an open world game, it can make a lot of issues. So if you're able in an MMO to go outside of that path that they want you to walk, it can cause a lot of problems. So whoever is working on this really has to know their stuff to make sure that people aren't falling through the ground.
Just imagine that.
Yeah.
You're playing your game and all of a sudden you just
You brush up against the wrong rock that's set against the ground, and then you just clip through and
you're just gone.
free falling. / unstuck.
And lastly, there is one more job listing that also popped up, and that is for the principal game designers who would work on progression and economy. What's important here is that this means that the game will likely support economy between players. So it is not just individual gold generation, which is present in most of the new pseudo MMOs. In those games, usually you can't even trade. Well, here they are specifically looking for someone who would foster deeper social interaction between players. And that is kinda it for the news about the MMO. So what did
Something I've noticed too, games that use a currency like gold or something like that, the player base will always find a way to just generate a crap ton of that and then sell it to other players. There will always be
That's
gold
true.
farmers and that sort of thing. Even in like games like Path of Exile where there isn't a currency, there's an item that you have to reuse 1,000,000 times in the game, so they use that as a currency when buying and selling things inside of the game. I think that system is better than a gold system in some ways, but in other ways, the gold system is better. Because when you're leveling and we would come across a really good item that we could sell to somebody, we had no use for that thing that we got in return unless we got to end game. Or unless we were going to buy another item back for ourselves. So I think having a gold currency is important. But I don't know how any MMO is ever going to tackle this thing of buying and selling gold because it just so quickly inflates the market and it makes the game pay to win for whales.
Yeah, because didn't that happen with World of Warcraft?
It's been happening with World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
That happens in RuneScape. It happens in all of them.
I just remembered like early on WoW, you talked about how farming for something just meant so much, and then now people could just buy gold. And
well, they can buy so much of it. You can't buy certain things, which still makes it really good, like bind on pickup items. Those will forever be an achievement, but some people are able to repeatedly go for those bind on pickup items because of pay to win features. They even have things like, well, they'll pay somebody to run them through
That's
a
crazy.
dungeon over and over. Or even have somebody play their account for them through that dungeon over and over, which is insane. I don't know why I didn't know that was a service until like 2 years ago, and it just blew my mind that people have been doing that for years.
That's
we learned today? Well, the MMO is very much alive. In fact, surprisingly, it should come out within the next 5 years.
Hell yeah,
and
let's go.
once we get to play it, well, Riot is kinda teasing that they don't wanna disappoint the players. I mean, the players will always fill the gaps with their own hopes and dreams, but Riot is kinda proving that they are part of the community, so they know what those hopes and dreams should be, which is a really good thing. So now, all we can do is just think of where we will be in the next 5 years. It might be a really fun idea to make a capsule video before the MMO comes out.
Yeah.
Capsule video.
5 years.
For real, yeah.
5 years, guys. We'll see. If you enjoyed that video, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you didn't have to deal with all the time in between during the freeze, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
See you in 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years.
5 years. Bye.
Bye.